What's up, guys? Thanks for joining me. Today we have Mike Cilio back with us, and I have to tell you what happened last time. Mike was on right after Trump won. I thought we had a great podcast, and unfortunately I screwed it up with the audio. There was some feedback on the microphone, and we couldn't use it. So I'm not going to lie to you and pretend like we haven't discussed some of this stuff before. Since Trump won, obviously a lot of stuff has happened with the people he's picked for his cabinet. So we're going to talk a little bit about the election and about the people that he's chosen. That's turning the left media into a, what would you call it? They're having a fit, they're having a baby.
Yeah,
anyway,
frenzy. I mean, it's been a
frenzy. That was the word. Mike, what's up, brother? Thanks. But by the way, before you start speaking, we just spent about another hour trying to get the mic to work this time. So that's why I'm wearing my earrings here. And I made Mike wear them too. I don't know what the issue is, but thanks for being patient, bro. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm really good.
Has it hit you yet?
Every morning when I wake up, man, I swear, I tell my wife all the time, it's like it's a new day. The sun is shining. There's no gloom. There's no doom. Even if it was pouring rain, it's the same feeling, because it was 4 years of dark depression, nonsense, lunacidal stuff that was being, brought on the TV. Every day you'd tune in and you'd see stupid, crazy hysteria about nonsense.
Yeah. And it kind of made you feel like, it made me feel like, not to be, hyperbolic, but it made me feel like we were losing our country. Sometimes you feel like you're the only one that's normal, and you say to yourself, it can't be that I'm the only one that feels this way. And that's what's great about YouTube. It allows me to reach out to everyone, and having great guests like you to come on to share your perspective, which is always fun. So I don't want to, it's really, to me, it's true. We really are taking our country back. And I know that the people he's picked has driven him crazy, but let's go to election night. You stayed awake the whole time? You watched the whole thing?
Did. I would have stayed up for 2 days. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Yeah, because you were worried. You were worried about like what happened last time. Well, we went to sleep and you woke up. We are now 53 in the Senate, right? What's going on in Pennsylvania? Aren't they trying to play games with the Pennsylvania Senate race?
So in Bucks County, in the past few days, they've been counting ballots that were ineligible to be counted. And one of the clerks there in Bucks County blatantly came out and said, nobody follows the law anyway, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
Now we have another troubling situation in Pennsylvania, and you should know it because it's not being reported in the corporate media, but this is troubling. Okay, so Republican David McCormick defeated Democratic incumbent Bob Casey by just 17,000 votes for the Senate. Okay, about 7 million people voted in that race. 17,000 separates them. So now there's a recount. But in Philadelphia and Bucks County, two places dominated by Democrats, the vote counters are breaking the law because they are taking mail-in ballots and legitimizing them with no signatures or dates. That is illegal in Pennsylvania. But they're doing it anyway. Roll the tape.
Not going to second that, mostly because I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it.
I would have her arrested. If I were Governor Shapiro, I'd arrest that woman. Her name is Diane Ellis Marsiglia, and she is the Bucks County Commissioner on the Board of Commissioners. I have her arrested because she's admitting that she's doing it. So the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has a Supreme Court, as all states do. Supreme Court rules 4-3 that you can't count votes that don't conform to the law. Well, what about the 3 who dissented in Pennsylvania? What are you saying? That law doesn't matter? It doesn't count? What are you doing? It was 4-3. Now, the votes are not going to be counted. And Mr. McCormick will be the next senator from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. But this is wrong, and it indicates a mindset that I believe was in place 4 years ago.
So are they listening to the Supreme Court? Because I know like the Biden administration doesn't like to do that. Like when it came to the forgiveness of student debt, the Supreme Court told him he can't do it. And he said, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Is the state of Pennsylvania adhering to it?
Yeah, so I saw Michael Whatley, the RNC chairman. He tweeted this afternoon or sometimes in the evening that if they don't comply with this, people are going to go to jail. So I don't know who's going to. Yeah, I don't know what agency is going to be involved in that. But we'll see what happens. And this is just not. Pennsylvania is the only one that's being spoken about right now. Arizona was a lot of shenanigans going on there. Wisconsin.
What happened with Kari Lake didn't win, huh?
Kari Lake never conceded. So as of now, I think it was like maybe 20,000 ballots. There was 20,000 vote difference there. She hasn't conceded yet. Part of me wants to believe that there's something else going on in the background, that maybe they know that some shenanigans took place and they're waiting until Trump takes office. But I don't know. But yeah, Maricopa County is the epicenter of all election fraud. It has been like this for the last 6 cycles. And it just keeps on getting worse. And they just kind of laugh it off. All the clerks and all these sworn people that are in charge of the elections there, they laugh it off.
Can Trump do anything? Because I know that the elections are enforced, I guess is a good word, on the state level. Can the federal government do anything? Like, can they go into Arizona or to Nevada or to any of these, people that can't seem to count?
And yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if there's any federal jurisdiction over that. But I guess it could start at, you would need a state AG that would prosecute, based on the state laws. I don't know. What I think he should do, and I've said this a couple of times, and I put it on X and Twitter or whatever you want to call it, but he should establish a committee, some sort of committee to investigate election fraud, and it has to be countrywide. It just can't be on the state level, and then from that make the referrals to the state AGs. Now the problem with the state AGs, we both know. Yeah, you're going to have Tish James, you're going to have these, Alvin Braggs, and they're just going to kick it down the road. So I don't know.
Yeah, they came out right after he won, like still playing offense, saying that doesn't matter. We're still going to be a sanctuary state. We're still going to be a sanctuary city. We're not going to cooperate with ICE. I think it was Murphy, the governor of New Jersey, Pritzker, the governor of Illinois. Letitia James had a press conference.
So despite what has happened on the national stage, we will continue to stand tall in the face of injustice, revenge, or retribution. We will continue to protect our most vulnerable and marginalized amongst us, because it is my sworn duty and responsibility to lead that fight, working with the governor of this great state, Kathy Hochul. This is not the time to be fearful, New York, but faithful and steadfast, knowing that I, as the Attorney General, along with my entire team, we are guardians of the law, and we are prepared, my friends, to fight back.
We could be facing something. We don't know what it is, but whatever it is, we'll be ready.
Yeah, that was maybe the most distasteful speech I've ever seen a government official give after someone won the American presidency. And I think it reflects exactly how Letitia James has been this entire time. She has done everything in her power to destroy Donald Trump. She failed. You know how we know she failed? Because Donald Trump won decisively last night. This lawfare campaign that we have seen waged against Trump by attorneys general, by federal and state prosecutors, and them doing so by twisting the law in ways they had never done before. And we know this, right? This is not just a right-wing talking point. They use the law against Donald Trump in ways they've never used against anyone else in their states, in this country. And the American people spoke loud and clear last night and said, we're done with this. And yet, for the Attorney General of the state of New York to go on and give that speech just now, it's disgraceful.
So we assume Kari Lake doesn't win, and we have 53. We're assuming that Pennsylvania goes to Republicans. That doesn't give us 54. We're assuming that
at 53. That's current with McCormick's win. Yeah. There was no
Okay, and
concession
it looks
from Casey.
It looks like he will. I heard Bill O'Reilly say that there's 1,300 counties in the country, and Trump increased his margin of victory in 92% of them, which is amazing. When you look at the map, right, of the United States, it's all red, bro. It's all red. And thankfully now, I don't hear a lot of the crying on the other side about how we need to get rid of the Electoral College, that the popular vote should mean everything, because he won that too. And if you look at Pennsylvania and New York, although he came close in New York, he lost by, I think, 900,000 votes, which was pretty amazing.
I just looked at the numbers, and I wish I had them in front of me now, but they had about 10 states of how much increase of support that Trump had this cycle. I think New York was close to 11%, and that goes for New Jersey as well.
Those are really deep blue states. So
yeah.
But you know, just like Pennsylvania, they have Philadelphia. Just like other areas, it narrows down to the very specific, not county, but just the city. Like you got Detroit, or you got Philadelphia, New York City. Those are all, and I can't understand. Like nobody's ever been able to convince me why they wanted Kamala Harris. Her only message was, and she said it, "I'm not Donald Trump."
Right.
And it turns out that, I heard David Webb said it perfectly on Fox News. Women spend more time in the grocery store than they do in abortion clinics. And that was mainly their only issue. That's what they ran on. And they also ran on that Trump was Hitler and that we were all Nazis for voting for him.
Yeah.
But, there's people are going to do what's best for them. And even I think the people that said they were going to vote for Harris, I think some of them may have secretly voted for Trump. Did you see Biden smile, bro? You see them at the White House? I've never seen him happier. They're saying that he voted for Trump. I mean, I doubt that, but you think he's happy secretly?
So I think he's probably sick of getting all this stuff shoved down his throat. He doesn't want to be there. He fulfilled his dream of becoming the president, and I think he's going to walk into the sunset a very happy man, unless there's further. I don't think Trump is going to try to get his administration involved in lawfare against Biden. I think Trump is going to, everybody's talking about retribution, and I kind of went off topic here for a second, but yeah, I think Biden's going to be very happy. I think he's going to be very safe, and I think Hunter's going to get a pardon, probably from Joe on the way out. That's what I think.
From Joe,
yeah.
You don't think Trump's going to pardon Hunter?
I don't think so. I don't think that's a good unifying message.
No,
he shouldn't. I think there's other tactics that Trump could do to kind of bring a little bit of unity. But I'm about justice first and then unity second.
Yes, and one of the things they were suggesting that he could do is use the Trump campaign money to pay off Kamala's debt. I hope he doesn't do that, bro, because that's really a slap in the face to the donors who not only didn't want Kamala Harris, but give Trump campaign money to put Trump in office. So you're going to take that money and bail out Kamala Harris. It would be an olive branch, and it would be so nice and unite the country. I disagree. I hope he doesn't do that. I think that's a slap in the face to everyone that donated.
Yeah, there's so many other things that he can do. That shouldn't be one of them. That's for sure. And he might have been just trolling. We're
going to talk about Matt Gaetz in a little bit. Speaking of trolling, let's go to let's see if I can add this correctly. Let's go to election night, and they were very somber. Let's listen to Jen Psaki and then pause it. Tell me to pause it if you want to speak in the middle of it, or I'll just let her play and we'll talk. But this is her coming to grips with, Trump's the next president. We were all smiles, bro, and they were hysterical. Here she is talking about it.
NBC News can now project that Donald Trump has won the state of Wisconsin, which means he is the winner of this race and will return to the White House as this country's 47th president. And for so many of you watching right now, that news is, to say the least, a lot to digest. I understand that personally. After he lost 4 years ago, he refused to accept the outcome and incited a violent insurrection on our nation.
Of course, I got to stop it, bro, because they're never ever going to come to the grips with the fact that Donald Trump specifically said we are going to protest peacefully and patriotically.
Right.
They continue to leave that out. There's more that she says that we'll point out as more BS.
Capital. He's campaigned while facing criminal indictments related to his efforts to overturn the 2020 results, and he's run as a convicted felon.
Mike, why is he a convicted felon, Mike?
We know why he's a convicted felon, because they wanted to dirty him up. They wanted to tag him with that moniker that he's a felon, convicted felon. It is not a convicted felon. They trumped up a charge, and I'll use this. It was a misdemeanor charge, which was never even charged to anybody for a bookkeeping error. And somehow or another, they manufactured these misdemeanor charges into felonies. And it blows people's minds. All these law professors too.
Crazy, because they never said what the underlying felony was, because the way they got to the felony is, or the underlying crime, I believe, they made it a felony because he made that entry to cover up another crime, and they never had to disclose what that other crime was. But she says he's a convicted felon. He's a convicted felon because of the corrupt DOJ. And I'm glad that he's putting people in to shake it up. But they wanted to pin him as a convicted felon. And of course, it backfired, bro, because once he was, start with the raid of Mar-a-Lago, his donations went up, right? Mm-hmm. You look at the arrest and dude, you've been to Center Street, bro. It's disgusting, right? For people who don't know, that's when you lodge a prisoner or you go to court. It's not the best place. It's a dark, dirty, disgusting place where you bring the worst criminals to. I don't know if family court's there. I think it's just criminal court. And the whole idea of bringing that case was also to demean him. When they got into the details with Stormy Daniels to talk about whether or not he used a condom or what position he liked, that was only meant to demean and degrade him. And they loved it. But of course, it backfired. But yeah, he's a convicted felon because of the warfare. And I'm hoping that, I know that that's going to stop.
During this campaign, he has also promised to essentially be an authoritarian leader, to use power like no American president ever has before, and wield that power to go after his political enemies. This is a man who's also rapped about overturning Roe v. Wade.
Quite the opposite, bro. You're right.
Right.
Here's the thing that I don't think a lot of people are realizing may have led to his victory also. I think that even the most, not the far left, but even the Democrats and people on the left, once a lot of the stuff that he's been accused of has been proven to be untrue, I feel like it's insulting their intelligence to go out there every day and continue to push the fake narrative that, he said there were fine people on both sides at Charlottesville. They're still saying that.
I know.
I proved that at length in a video probably 2 years ago. And then Joe said it again in the debate. So I uploaded the same video again. And then Joe said it again at the DNC. And then Kamala said it again when she debated him in September. And then Barack Obama went out and said it again. There's fine people on both sides. People know that that's bullshit, that he didn't say that. He specifically said, I condemn the white supremacists. And then before he said fine people, he said, and I'm not talking about the white supremacists because I condemn them fully. I'm talking about the people that were there to protest the removal of the statue. But I really think that there's a part of the people that voted, some voters that say, you expect us to believe these lies, not just about Charlottesville, but that Trump is going to ban abortion when he's already said, and the Supreme Court has said, the federal government has no say.
Yeah.
Now, he could do it as a governor, like Ron DeSantis passed a 6-week bill in Florida, but the federal government has no position, no authority on abortion. Kamala Harris cannot codify it, and Trump cannot ban it.
But the left thought that she could. They were under the impression, these females that are all over the internet in these last 2 weeks crying about losing these crazy rights that they think they're losing. Did they really think that she was going to implement and change it and codify it? Because they were led down the wrong road if they thought so.
Well, that's what she's telling them. She's saying, I will codify Roe, and I will prevent Trump's abortion bans. And they lied about the woman that took the abortion pill she went from one state. The abortion pill killed her. Got to the hospital, and she has a good lawsuit because the doctors didn't do anything. And that happens in every case. It's not just when it comes to abortion. But I find it really sad and almost sickening that we've become a country who will scream and fight for the right for abortion. Like I'm against abortion, but at least Clinton was reasonable when he said safe, legal, and rare.
Our vision should be of an America where abortion is safe and legal, but rare.
And now you see all these people wearing shirts. I've got 21 abortions, and
it's a celebratory event now, and they're parading themselves around celebrating. I saw something recently on X with a girl wearing the thing. I've had 21 abortions, just like you said.
I saw that,
and I'm like, why are we making this? It should be a somber event reserved for somber occasions, for whatever medical reasons. And I'm all about that. If there's if you have some sort of medical issue, but some of these people are just parading it around and making it into like it's a party.
Yeah, it's disgusting to me that that's become such a big issue, that people are crying and screaming for the right to children. Really, that's basically what it comes down to. There was a doctor, I forgot his name, Anthony Levatino, I believe his name is. I had it in one of my videos. One of the first videos I made explained how I used to be pro-choice.
Yeah.
And I changed to pro-life. And I'll put a link up. I hope people click on it. But in that video, there's a doctor that says the amount of times that we need to abort a child to save the mother's life is almost never.
Right.
And I think that there's a disconnect when people, if you could just convince people that it's not a clump of cells, that child has his or her own DNA, that everything, that there's no, it's almost like a location argument. Instead of calling it preborn, I would call them pre-delivered, because really, it is a baby. And I think people have a disconnect. They don't realize that it's a child. But it's sad that's become the biggest issue, and that they've reduced women to nothing more than a uterus, not admitting or realizing, of course, that they shop, right? So they know that the economy has been an issue. They want to be safe. The left threw a fit when Trump says, I want to protect women.
Yeah.
My people told me about 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say. I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not.
Yeah. He also grabs them whether they like it or not.
That's that when you say whether you like it or not, tells women a lot about who you are.
Yes.
And why they're going to stay away from you.
Yeah.
See, because with you, clearly no doesn't mean no.
Well, no.
Whether you like it or not means I'm going to do it whether you want it or not. That's not the message you want to send women right now.
But I have a question.
I might have an answer.
It's like a technical question.
Okay.
Can you protect women and assault them at the same time?
Right. Right.
The biggest thing that bothers me a lot is, and it goes along with these women, because if you look now in the last 2 weeks, a lot of women are like freaking out over this, victory. I mean, freaking out. There's not too many men. But the other part about it is how they tried to dirty him up, not only with those fake felonies, but with this E. Jean Carroll case. And
Terrible.
What the media never tells people, and what people are uninformed about, is he's been convicted of rape. No, he wasn't. He wasn't convicted of rape. This wasn't a criminal case. There was the burden of proof in a criminal case is what, Paul? Beyond a reasonable doubt, right?
Right. And for civil, it's
preponderance of evidence. So that's all they did, was they put some evidence together. That's just a preponderance of evidence that says, somebody accused Trump of this, and that happened in a clothing store 30 some odd years ago. And the jury said, "Oh, okay, it's preponderant evidence. Was he
actually
there?"
Yeah. And the jury was asked, "Do you think he raped her?" And they checked the box, no, that he would not. But they changed the law so that she could go after him. They changed the law that said it's been too long to go after people of sexual assaults who claim sexual assault this many years later criminally, but we're going to change the law so we could at least go after them civilly. And what you were saying, preponderance of the evidence, for people that don't know, what a preponderance of the evidence is, just tipping the scales. 51% that he more likely did it, as opposed to almost 100% that he did it. And they did, and the girl's a loon, bro. Did you see how she's living?
She's a nut job.
Her mice, and she names a dog, one of the dog's tits, and she has a mouse house, and she painted the trees blue.
I call it the mouse house because some very distinguished mice live here. Kahneman lives in the kitchen. Tversky lives in the bedroom. This is my shed. And on that side are the books that most influenced me growing up. On the door are the list of my dogs: Marky, Fortuna de la Spunky, Heidi, Tits, Bloody, and Hepburn. The streams and the rivers were dry, and it so horrified me that I came out and started painting the rocks blue to indicate that there was once a river here. And then after I got done painting the rocks, I just sort of walked over here and then did that tree and then did that tree and then I did this tree. And then pretty soon I'd done this whole forest.
What happened with that case? Because she was supposed to get $83 million. She's all excited telling Rachel Maddow how she's going to spend it. But I never knew what happened to it. He's appealed that
the money, but I think it's in an appeals process right now, I believe. I know that money never got released to her. Yeah.
I don't know if Jen Psaki is finished. I lost my mouse again. Let me hear this.
And stripping away women's bodily autonomy. He's promised to conduct mass deportations to crack down on the rights of millions of Americans.
All right, this will be the last time I stop it. Mike, how do you promise to conduct mass deportations on illegals, and that tramples the rights of Americans?
Right. Hey, now,
we're going to get rid of the people who aren't American,
right?
And that somehow tramples the rights of Americans. This is why their ratings are in the freaking toilet.
Before you back, Paul, I just want to point out something on this graphic here. So you can see all the states that Trump won and all the blue states that she won.
This isn't even final.
This isn't even final yet, but you know what?
This is what they called it.
Yeah. So what is the common denominator on the blue states?
Let me say, hold on. Well, urban areas, right? You got California.
That's true. But the common denominator is all of those blue states don't have voter ID.
Oh, shit. I don't understand.
When it came down to the final results, every single state that she won had no voter ID.
Really?
So yeah.
Dude, see, when I was talking about before, like, we got our country back, I feel like there has to be common sense needed to make a comeback. Like, the Democrats voted against, what was the name of that bill that the Republicans put out? Some act that wanted to ensure that those who were voting were American citizens, and the Democrats voted against it. Remember what that was called?
Yeah, I forgot the name of the bill.
A key part of their agenda, House Republicans passed the SAVE Act, expressing concerns that people in the country illegally could be voting in upcoming elections. 5 Democrats voted for it as well.
Let me be clear. Non-citizen voting reduces confidence in our elections. American elections are for American citizens, and we intend to keep it that way.
The law would require people to provide documents proving their citizenship when they register to vote, and it would give states access to federal databases to help them remove non-citizens from the rolls. Many Democrats argue the SAVE Act is unnecessary and could make it harder for some Americans if they've lost documents or if they're overseas and can't register in person. Former President Trump supports the bill and stood with House Speaker Mike Johnson when he announced it. Trump says it would stop, quote, weaponization and cheating, but opponents argue its purpose is far more cynical.
It only perpetuates lies now to set up even bigger lies later when they're unhappy with the outcome of the November election.
I don't understand why, when you see the list of everything you need an ID for, and then when it comes to the elections, you don't. They're so hypocritical, bro. And I'm telling you, I think a lot of people realized, you guys have gone too far. But yeah, that's it. That's an interesting, an amazing observation because I know California passed a law that made it a crime to ask for ID.
Yeah.
Is that not ridiculous? Is that crazy? It's unbelievable, bro. So common sense is making a comeback.
Yeah.
I think she wraps up now.
Donald Trump is an anti-democratic force, but he's just been elected democratically in our country. I wish I had better news for my daughter later this morning. I know Tim Miller and I were talking about this earlier when she and so many others wake up to this news. I wish I could have called her and told her that the first woman president had just been elected. I wish that. I won't be able to do that. But what I can do, what I can tell my daughter, and what I will tell my daughter, is that our roles as American citizens have never been more important than they are right now. I can tell her that there are still lots of good forces out there, forces for good in this country, and that they are going to be getting to work.
You know what? To me, that sounds like let's get ready for an impeachment.
Oh yeah, of course.
They're all getting ready to go to work. What does that mean, Jen Psaki?
I tell you what, if they do that this time, they're going to dig their heels in. The next cycle, 2026, is going to get even worse for them.
That's what I don't understand, bro. They don't get it. They don't get. I mean, he won so many different areas. He won. Well, he didn't win the black vote, but
he increased the margins of the black vote, though. Incredible.
Oh, tremendously, more than any other Republican. He got the young vote, right? He won the popular vote.
Yeah.
Do you think he got the young vote because of Rogan?
I think he got the young vote because I was watching something yesterday. I forgot the name of the guy that was being interviewed, but he said he has a 20-year-old son. So do I. It was 21, actually. And when these young men were going to school, whether it was high school or in college, the professors would constantly put them down and point fingers at them. You're anti-feminine, you're anti-woman, and they were sick of being beat down. And so they needed something to change that. And that was one part of it. But the other part of it is, yes, Joe Rogan, huge. Nelk Brothers, all these other, I forget the name of that other younger guy that brought Trump on. He's a funny guy, the comedian with the long hair, pretty funny guy. But yeah, all of these podcasts, I think, made Trump more personable and identifiable with all these young guys, So yeah, they can go out and say, well, it was the male vote. Yeah, the males saved this country from going into communism and anything else beyond that.
Dude, another thing, we talked about this on, I think it was maybe 2 episodes ago, where the Hispanic men and black men and the Muslims are not for putting their little boys in dresses.
That's right.
And we talked about it at length, and I will tell you that it is a white liberal thing.
Yes.
I know a lot of Democrats that were pushed over to Trump because they said, once you started doing this to children, I'm out. Some of them didn't vote. They could never stomach voting for Trump, but a lot of them did.
They held their breath.
The white liberals are transitioning these 8 and 9-year-olds. Dude, I have a couple of videos. You bring in their 8-year-olds to a gender clinic. They're not on board with that, bro. I've never seen a black child trans or an Asian trans child or a Hispanic, and certainly a Muslim. They would never stand for that. So that's
why
liberal
is a dangerous person. I mean,
that's what Malcolm X said. Where the fox comes at you and smiles, he pretends he's your friend, like the white liberal, but really he gets the lamb in the end.
That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox. And a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to. But the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling and taking for a friend. Many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate. The wolf doesn't act friendly, and therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chop in his plate. I'd like to point out, though, that I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro.
Let me hear some of the excuses. Let me show you some of the excuses that they're saying why Kamala lost.
This race will be lower than 2020. It looks like it's on that track right now.
I think that in many ways you have to give credit to the fact that Kamala Harris, the vice president, in 107 days got up a campaign that most people take 2 to 3 years to do and did an excellent job. She was not as known as a person to a lot of the country. She did that, and she did it in a exemplary way. I think that's one of it. Second, I think that we have been inundated with misinformation, and you had to try to break through a lot of misinformation to get the truth to a lot of voters, which is why I think the later polls she started going up, but it was not enough time to break through. Had she been given more time, I think that it would have been clearly more to her advantage. But I don't think you could have had a better candidate. The other part is the unspoken thing for many people is you've got to deal with the continued gender bias and race bias in this country. Some people just were not going to vote for a woman of color in an interracial marriage and living in the White House and have a woman as president of any color. And we've got to deal with that and have those tough conversations if we're ever going to get by this.
Dude, you know, to everyone that says that, I just want to remind you that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. So stop saying that we have a problem voting for a woman who might be president. Barack Obama was elected in 08, reelected in 12 by a large margin. So stop blaming race. It has nothing to do with her being a female, nothing to do with her being a person of color, because I don't even know what she is. She said she's black, but it turns out she's Indian.
Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
To become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good.
Vice President Kamala Harris is black. She's always identified as black.
So what we're going to cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you are Indian.
Yes.
You are Indian.
Yes.
You are Indian.
Yes.
Joy and I talk about this all the time. Madam Vice President, and you know this, Charlene, she black.
The truth is, she was a flawed candidate, bro. She was a flawed candidate. And they're blaming Biden, and Biden's blaming her campaign. Al Sharpton said she didn't have enough time. She didn't have this. She didn't have that. You know what else she didn't have, Al? She didn't have a primary. She didn't have anyone challenging her. This was just gifted to her. And she may have only had 170 days, but she had $1 billion. It wasn't.
She went over budget. She went over budget.
She owes money. Yeah, I think $20 million. So I think they need to stop blaming men and, making this a color issue and a gender issue. Kamala Harris sucked. It would be nice if we had a woman president, right? I mean, someone that was strong.
Yeah,
I told you last time.
It's the right candidate. If it's the right
candidate. I mean, it's just, let me ask you a question. That's another thing, bro. People were tired of hearing, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're a sexist, you're an Islamic phobe. Yeah. Enough already, man. Go ahead.
The question I have for you is, at the end of Trump's term, do we still have pronouns?
You know what's funny, bro? Now that you mention that, because we'll get into that, but I think that's what just drove everyone insane with this pronoun garbage. But was it Megyn Kelly or Maria Bartiromo? I think it was Megyn Kelly who asked him, "Can men become women?" or something like that, and he stumbled a little bit with that question.
I remember that interview. It was Megyn Kelly.
Can a man become a woman?
In my opinion, you have a man, you have a woman. I think part of it is birth. Can the man give birth? No. Although they'll come up with some answer to that also someday. I heard just the other day they have a way that now the man can give birth. No, I would say I'll continue my stance on that.
And he was also asked that in the primary in 2015. Do you care that a person who uses your restroom at Trump Tower? Do you care if Caitlyn Jenner used the men's bathroom or the women's bathroom at Trump Tower? And Trump says, I don't care.
If Caitlyn Jenner were to walk into Trump Tower and want to use the bathroom, you would be fine with her using any bathroom she chooses.
That is correct.
He didn't fight it like everyone else did, like a Ron DeSantis did. You're not putting those books in our school. You're not going to, transition children. Trump was kind of middle of the road. I think maybe it might have a little bit to do with his age, where he's like, this, I have so many other things to think about.
Yeah.
But he didn't really have a strong position on it. But I think now, being that a lot of people went over to him, and now it's such an obvious issue, and the Dems are running, bro.
It's a crazy issue.
Since when? Why are we obsessed? Oh, he'll be strong against that, bro.
Yeah.
He'll be strong. I made a video, my last video that I uploaded. I'll put a link up to it. It's only 4.5 minutes, but it lists 50 reasons why Trump won. You told us walls were racist every day. And then after you said that, you went home to your gated communities. And you told us that men had to give up their diesel trucks. People had to give up their gas stoves to fight climate change. But they all bought oceanfront property and commuted by private jet. Like, you demonize the working man so much, the average person who, just wants to drive his truck or, grill something.
Yeah.
Like, everything they did was complete hypocrisy. And I honestly think that the culture issue, like pronouns and stuff, I think helped him a lot, because people just wanted to come back of common sense. But he'll be big against climate change, because he got us out of the Paris Accord, because India and China, who pollute more than anyone, aren't in it. Again, the United States was pulling the weight for everyone else who were paying the most money. And even without joining that, we still reduced carbon emissions more than any other country.
Yeah.
So, J.D. Vance had a great line. They said, if you're worried about climate change, why are you letting manufacturing jobs go overseas?
And Nora, you asked about climate change. I think this is a very important issue. Look, a lot of people are justifiably worried about all these crazy weather patterns. I think it's important for us, first of all, to say Donald Trump and I support clean air, clean water. We want the environment to be cleaner and safer. But one of the things that I've noticed some of our Democratic friends talking a lot about is a concern about carbon emissions, this idea that carbon emissions drives all of the climate change. Well, let's just say that's true, just for the sake of argument, so we're not arguing about weird science. Let's just say that's true. Well, if you believe that, what would you want to do? The answer is that you'd want to reshore as much American manufacturing as possible, and you'd want to produce as much energy as possible in the United States of America, because we're the cleanest economy in the entire world. What have Kamala Harris's policies actually led to? More energy production in China, more manufacturing overseas, more doing business in some of the dirtiest parts of the entire world. And when I say that, I mean the amount of carbon emissions they're doing per unit of economic output. So if we actually care about getting cleaner air and cleaner water, the best thing to do is to double down and invest in American workers and the American people. And unfortunately, Kamala Harris has done exactly the opposite.
What else do I have? All right, this is the last one on the election, then we'll get into his appointments. This is the hysteria the next night or the night, blaming everything that we just talked about. Nobody will blame Kamala.
It's not the elite that's going to pay the price. It's people who woke up this morning with a dream and are going to bed with a nightmare.
Come on.
Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not. That is what it appears happened in that state.
Let's be honest about this, okay? Let's be absolutely blunt about it. There were appeals to racism in this campaign, and there is racial bias in this country, and there is sexism in this country.
The country we have lives in two totally separated information ecosystems. Whatever happens, we'll have to really understand the information consumption that young men have and why they think that the economy will be better under Donald Trump when it never was.
And that's makes the timing of President Biden's decision to step down after the debate something that, if she does in fact lose, will be under a microscope. I think it's one of the big questions moving forward.
If she were a 6'4" white man from Arkansas or from Florida, and she ran a good middle-of-the-road campaign talking about reaching out, do you think she would be losing by that much? If she could chew tobacco and carry a shotgun and talk about football and be a guy's guy, I mean, you tell me.
As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed-race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
I'm speechless. I mean, Emily, if it had been a tall white man, I mean, you want to know who plays the race card? Come on.
The cultural resentment I heard was from everyone that we just heard in that montage. That is exactly what the American people rejected.
She's right, bro. I really think that there was a big segment of the voters that said, I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of you telling me that Trump is Hitler. Yeah. I'm so tired of and now, like I said, they're blaming everyone but Kamala. Dude, we talked about it last time. She's an idiot. And I don't have a problem saying that she is not smart at all. She would not answer a question ever. And she's asking us to hire her for the most important job in the world, the leader of the free world. Answer a question. If I ask you something, answer a question. If you went to your doctor and he said, all right, Mike, I'm going to give you this medication. I need you to take it twice a day. You say, okay, are there any side effects? And he says, 1 in the morning, 1 at night. All right, thank you. Are there any side effects? 300 milligrams each.
Yeah.
Okay, great, doc. But hold on. Are there any side effects? Good question, Mike. Yes, you should take it with food. You're going to be like, dude.
That's exactly what was going on. That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Anderson Cooper kind of boxed her into a corner when she wouldn't answer the question about why she has in the bill money for a border wall, but she tried to do a dance around it.
Yeah.
She's afraid to answer the question. She would not answer the question, and that showed weakness.
Let's talk about this compromise bill that you want to pass if you're elected. You said that's going to be a priority. It includes $650 million in funding for the border wall. That's something Republicans wanted. That was part of the compromise. Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid, useless, and a medieval vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't. How much of that wall did he build? I think the last number I saw is about 2%. And then when it came time for him to do a photo op, you know where he did it? In the part of the wall that President Obama built.
But you're agreeing to a bill that would earmark $650 million to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border. Yes, I am. And I'm going to work across the aisle to pass a comprehensive bill that deals with a broken immigration system. I think Jackson's question, part of it was to acknowledge that America has always had migration, but there needs to be a legal process for it. People have to earn it. And that's the point that I think is the most important point that can be made, which is we need a president who is grounded in common sense and practical outcomes. Like, let's just fix this thing. Let's just fix it. Why is there any ideological perspective on this? Let's just fix the problem.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I'm not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything. I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
It was a defensive campaign. There was no messaging about what she could do. It was about what Trump is going to do. And it was all lies. It was all lies.
Right.
You know? So that's where they failed. She needed to speak what she's going to do, not what she has done alongside Biden. Because guess what? Biden's administration is your administration. So you could be a little humble there, and they could have changed that whole narrative and said, we've made some mistakes, you know, and we're going to look back and we're going to change a lot of different things, starting with blah, 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 A, B, and C. We didn't do that. They dug their heels in, or she dug her heels in, and it was business as usual. And it was status quo. And the status quo, people were not having it. They were not having it.
Right. How is she not prepared to answer that question from Sonny Hostin about what, if anything, would you have done differently? And she says, there is not a thing that comes to mind.
Nothing that comes to mind. Yep.
How can she not be prepared for that question? It amazes me how stupid and unprepared she was. And everything about her was fake, bro. They bust in the fake supporters. They kicked everyone out, all the Trump supporters out of a restaurant to bust people in to pretend to support her.
They kicked us out of Permani Brothers. They said it's a problem. You are terrible people.
Tell us again, what happened to Permani Brothers?
They kicked us out of Permani Brothers so that they could get the paid actors inside.
Ridiculous.
Yes. So there's all the paid actors.
Look at all these people. My God.
Holy hell. All these actors in these vans.
When she spoke,
the
accents, bro. The accents. We spoke about this last time, right?
You got a union member.
Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
Since when does the vice president have what sounds like a Southern accent?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You better thank a union member. For sick leave, you better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
I researched this, and it's called linguistic convergence, I think it's called, where people do that one-on-one, and I've done it, and you were telling me when you order Chinese food, right? But that's different because, like, if I'm on a job and I speak to someone, let's say a Hispanic, and his English is very broken, and I don't know any Spanish, and he knows very little English, I will talk in such a way to make it easier for him to understand, right? And he will try. So you try to meet somewhere in the middle. Like if you're ordering Chinese food, right? On the phone, you sound a little, right?
Yeah.
That there's nothing degrading about that because you hear the person talk. Her mistake was she just blanketed everyone saying, well, you're black. This is how I assume you're going to speak. Right. You're Hispanic. Did you see her at the Univision? It's okay. Are you okay?
Well, first of all, thank you for the question. And I hope your family is okay and your home is okay.
Yes, they are, ma'am.
Okay.
You know what, dude? She was scared, bro. She was scared. She didn't go to the Al Smith dinner with Catholics because she's so pro-abortion. She didn't want to alienate the people on her side that, oh, you went to this dinner. The last person that didn't go was Walter Mondale. He only won one state. She was afraid to meet Netanyahu because that would piss off
the pro-Palestine,
pro-Hamas caucus, right?
Yeah.
She was afraid to go on Joe Rogan, they said, because some of the progressive staff members were upset that she would even consider going. So she didn't do that. The bottom line is she can't make a decision. She cannot make a decision. So you have stupidity or at the very least a lack of intelligence.
Indecision.
And you have someone who's afraid. You cannot make a decision. And believe me, dude, it eventually got through where people saw this and they were like, I can't vote for her. So like I said, common sense. I
think the margins were going to be bigger. And we spoke about it earlier with the states, the no vote ID. I think what they're doing now is a lot of these, California still hasn't called some congressional seats. I don't know if you've seen that. I mean,
but we won, right? The Republicans have the House right now.
Yeah, but there's a couple of races. Yeah, but it's tight. It's going to be really razor thin margin, and and now Trump is picking off a lot of those people. So we're going to have a really razor thin margin.
No, dude. So how many? So you got Matt Gaetz resigned, Elise Stefanik.
John Waltz is going to be.
How do they get replaced? The governor replaces someone?
So Senate seats can be replaced by the governor, right? But congressional seats, they have to run a special election. So
that's not good, bro.
It's not good. It's not.
Can't he wait until he's in? Why can't he wait?
Matt Gaetz resigned because that would trigger. There's a timeline. There's a time period which the governor has to implement a special election. So he made it so that when he resigns, that there's going to be a special election, and he's supposed to be a safe district. It's really, really deep red. That DeSantis has to run the special election to make it in time that whoever wins Matt Gaetz' seat can be sworn in with the new Congress.
Which is when? January 3rd?
January 6th. Right? Okay. I think it's the 6th or the 1st. But
I thought it was before. Yeah,
it's before the inauguration somewhere, but I believe it might be the 6th. No, 6 is when they do the electoral stuff for the president.
I think it's the 3rd.
Yeah, I think it's the 3rd. So they had to trigger that. So that Matt Gaetz only had the way the timeline was set up. If he would have waited a little bit, it would have been after the new Congress is sworn in, and he didn't want to do that for whatever reason.
So then you would still have the possibility that Matt Gaetz still has to run an election. You could have lost that seat either in January or February, or you could have lost it now in November.
Right.
Either way, you still have.
No, I just hope that the turnout now after the big election like this is going to be the same.
Yeah,
because now they may put like millions of dollars to try to take that seat.
That's true, bro. People are fatigued, bro. People are fatigued. I know that.
Yeah,
MSNBC and CNN lost, almost all their viewers.
According to Nielsen ratings, MSNBC had a big election night, bringing in 6 million viewers. But the days following the election, MSNBC's viewership tanked to less than 1 million. The network losing more than half of its audience compared to its average viewership in October leading up to the election. Friday also marked the network's lowest rated non-holiday night of the year. CNN also hemorrhaged viewership. The network saw 5.1 million people tune in during their election coverage. In the days after the election, CNN's viewership also fell to 611,000, a 36% drop compared to its average viewership in October leading up to election night.
But to be fair, I heard Megyn Kelly say that after Romney lost in 2012, Fox lost a lot of viewers too. You just get tired. And you know what's funny, bro? Speaking of that, I lost like 40 subscribers in 2 days.
Really? Wow.
And I didn't even upload a video. It was just like, so I'm trying to figure it out, like what's going on. Cause I lose Twitter followers, Facebook, they play the game, Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And I was wondering what it was, but like my wife was telling me, people just need a break. People just, they need a break. I hadn't even uploaded a video, so it wasn't something I said or something I did. But let's, you want to talk about his cabinet?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so I'm going to start with Pete Hegseth. Now, I think we're going to disagree on some of the stuff. I'm a little torn on this. I like him. I've always liked him. He's definitely a great patriot. He's a major, so that's the 4th rank. I don't want to give them, I'll probably screw it up, but it's 1 rank above captain. I try really hard to be consistent. I like Bernie Kerik, right? I think he was a great commissioner. I talked to him on Twitter. We communicate back and forth. Great commissioner. I'm glad that he was a commissioner. He got us through 9/11. Him and Giuliani helped us out a lot. He and Giuliani helped us. But I didn't like going outside the department and nominating someone who was a detective. And the reason I say I'm consistent is because I can't stand what they're considering doing to Kaz Daltrey, right? Where they're taking a detective and they made a special rank for him. So for people that don't know, in the NYPD, their rank is cop, sergeant, lieutenant, captain. deputy inspector, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star chief, and then the 4th-star chief is the chief of department. There's only one. Right. They took a guy who was a detective and put him over as assistant commissioner. They created this rank for him, and I'm against that. I don't think that's fair. I'm glad, it worked out well with Bernie Kerik. I don't like that they did it. I don't like that Kaz is doing it. So there's a part of me that says when it comes to Pete Hegseth, they're kind of doing it again. However, there's a problem. It's not that I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. It's when you promote from within, half of the shit has gone woke. So you have a limited group of people that you could choose from to begin with. But there is one person outside who's not woke, who has the experience to lead the way he has. And that's what I talked about offline, General Flynn. I wonder why Mike Flynn wasn't considered for the Pentagon. I was hoping that he would be involved at some point.
Yeah, I don't know, but getting back to like recruiting from within, I'm all about that too. Like within the police department, like we want to recruit from within. Do we want to take a lower ranked guy and make him into a police commissioner? In that other case that you were speaking about, that's a whole other road we can go down. But Kerik had some experience. Remember, he was a commissioner of corrections,
right?
And listen, a politician, they're gonna do favors, and Giuliani did a favor. Turned out, Kerik, I thought, was a good police commissioner.
I do too.
Ray Kelly, great commissioner, came up through the ranks too. That guy came up through the ranks.
Yeah, Marine Corps.
Good.
And then he did come up through the ranks.
True leader. So getting back to Pete Hegseth, if you know Donald Trump, Trump when he came, he was an outsider, right? He wasn't a politician. He wasn't a polished. He was a businessman. And I used to talk about this with my old partner in the radio car. So we need Donald Trump to be president, man. We need a guy to run the country like it's a business. Donald Trump is running the country like it's a business. He's taking resumes and he's getting outsiders, because if you bring an outsider in, you know it and I know it, they're a disruptor and they're going to make change. If you bring somebody from within, it's going to be status quo. They may give the appearance that they're making change, but it's going to be business as usual. So Pete Hegseth is an outsider. He's got great philosophies about the military. He cares about the military. He cares about the armed forces. He cares about what you and I cared about in the police department. The way that they're I'm going to use this term, they're pussifying the police. And we can't pussify the military, because if you pussify the military, they're no longer warriors and they're not going to fight. And we need these men to fight. We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pete Hegseth comes across as a warrior. He wants to bring back the fight into the military. That's my.
I agree with everything you said, and I do like him, and I like him as a pick. But compare him to Mike Flynn.
I love Mike Flynn. I think Mike Flynn is awesome. I thought Mike Flynn was going to get that spot. There may be something down the road for Mike Flynn. I don't know what it's going to be. I believe me, I think he's going to be involved. Now,
I hope so.
The FBI hasn't. The FBI director is still open, and Trump's not going to announce that because he's got to fire Ray first, right? Or
Ray's in year 7 out of 10. So getting back to Hegseth, I want to show the audience who he's replacing. This was the Secretary of Defense under Joe and Kamala. Try not to laugh, Mike. Ready?
Yeah.
That's Mr. Lloyd Austin, ladies and gentlemen, the man in charge of our weapons systems. What's he got on there? Is that a welder's mask? Is it a dental visor? Has Lloyd Austin been cleaning teeth this morning? Nope. Looks like Lloyd Austin is just terrified of COVID. Well, then why doesn't he lose weight? Quite a bit of weight, actually. That's a good question. That would be the rational response. So, of course, he has not even considered that. Lloyd Austin instead got the vaccine, but he is still so petrified of corona that he put a windshield over his face and demanded that all of his dutiful little minions do the same. An entire army of dental hygienists. Watch out, China. Move against Taiwan and we'll scrape the tartar off your molars. And yet, even after all of those comically elaborate precautions, Lloyd Austin still looks scared for his life. Notice how he bumps their hands instead of shaking them. How long before Lloyd Austin is wearing surgical gloves in the shower and zip-tying garbage bags around his feet? The United States military is being run by a neurotic cat lady.
Bingo.
So that's the current SecDef. That's the one who Biden nominated, and he was on the board of Raytheon, and then he went to the military, and guess who got a bunch of, before you know it, we were giving weapons to Ukraine. That's who Pete Hegseth is going to replace. Now, I want to play you why I think, or why I know, I think it's 3 minutes, why the left hates Pete Hegseth. Actually, let me start with that and show you the hysteria. Here's what they're saying about Pete Hegseth. Before I show you what Pete says in his own words, this is the hysteria. We saw who they're going to replace him, who he's going to replace. Now, this is the left, of course, demonizing him and calling him a white supremacist. That's because that's all they can do.
Because let's remember, like when we're talking about the secretary here and Hegseth and his white supremacist and extremist tattoos on his body, he is also a person, if he is in this job, who will be having the discussion with Donald Trump about sending the military into communities to police U.S. citizens. This is something that Donald Trump has said explicitly. It's a power he has wanted to use. It's one of the warnings we heard from the Joint Chiefs in his administration when he was president before, and it's in Project 2025.
I'm going to add the Secretary of Defense nominee, Peter Hegseth, the Fox News commentator as well, because this is someone who important distinction. Yeah. This is someone who,
the meaning,
it is known to be a white supremacist, known to be an extremist, whose book is basically about his opposition to the advancement of black officers to the top brass. No, the military is actually a very important area for black advancement. And so him selecting that particular person, and by the way, the Department of Defense has 3 million employees. There's no evidence that this man has ever run anything. The fact that he is a veteran is simply insufficient. And so those two, because these are two very, very important positions, strike me as eminently dangerous. And you're right. It takes our attention, but it also demands our attention because it shows us that Trump has gone off the rails and he was never really on the rails. But there is an even heightened sense of impunity about him now that should alarm us.
Yeah, because number one, he has a mandate. And that's what I'm talking about, Mike. Like he says he's going to use the military against civilians. Everyone knows that's a lie, and they just keep saying it. She also said that he was part of Project 25. I could show you 4 or 5 clips where he said, I don't know anything about Project 25. I know nothing about it.
They keep on tying you, whether it's yesterday's testimony when they were talking to Christopher Wray or whether it's Kamala Harris on the stump. They keep on tying you to Project 2025, which is a 900-page tome put out by the Heritage Foundation. What is your response to what's in it, and what would you like to say about the role it's playing in your campaign?
It's a group of very, very conservative people, and they wrote a document that many of the points are absolutely ridiculous. I have nothing to do with the document. I've never seen the document. I've seen certain things that are said in it. This is a document I know nothing about and has nothing to do with me whatsoever.
But they keep saying it. And I think even the left or the Democrat voters are saying, come on. Like if I play something and my wife hears it and she's like, babe, is that really true? And I'll have to research it. And maybe it isn't true. I think a lot of people that were going to vote for Kamala Harris got tired of hearing that nonsense, knew that it was fake, and you insulted them every time by saying that, all those lies over and over again. Yeah. I'm going to play Pete in his own words. And Mike, I'm sure you'll agree with me. This is really why they fear him. It's not because he's anything they say. It's because it's going to be a war on wokeness in the military.
The deeper question is, how did the military allow itself to go woke? How did our general class, how did our military academies, how did military leaders who are expected to live by an ethos and a code, they're in the job of meritocracy and lethality, of excellence, of no excuses, of equality and unity, not equity and diversity is ours. The dumbest phrase on planet Earth in the military is our diversity is our strength. Our unity is what unites us, our unity of effort, our ability to say, yes, we're different, but we come together as a team to accomplish a mission. So I spent the better part of a year and a half talking to vets, and not just vets, but connecting through a network of a lot of guys I know. I host my show on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in New York. So I've got Saturday afternoon wide open. And I spent for months my Saturdays just on the phone, off the record, anonymously with guys in service. So senior listed, junior officers, senior officers, all branches, MOSs, eras, but mostly guys in right now, generals, privates. And all the same themes came out. Standards are dropping. The woke stuff is everywhere. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I heard that all the time. Eggshells. I'm a commander. I walk on eggshells. I train commanders. They're walking on eggshells. They're afraid of one misstep on one identification or one gender thing or one racial thing or one trans thing. And the priorities are upside down on what the units are focusing on. And every single one of those distractions means we're less good at our job. Which is supposed to be closed with and destroy the enemy on behalf of our nation and bring our boys home. Once the combination of Floyd and January 6th happened, they went all in on DEI and CRT and transformation, focusing on patriot extremism. We talk all about that in the book. Gadsden flags are signs of radicalism. Get the bumper sticker off your car. There's a chance to course correct it, but it would take the new Trump administration going after it really hard.
How would they correct it?
Well, first of all, you got to fire, you got to fire the chairman of Joint Chiefs. You got to fire this. Obviously you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever that was involved in any of the DEI woke shit, it's got to go. Either you're in for war fighting, and that's it. That's the only litmus test we care about. You got to get DEI and CRT out of military academies, so you're not training young officers to be baptized in this type of thinking. And then, whatever the combat standards were, say, in, 1995, let's just make those the standards. And as far as recruiting, to hire the guy that, did Top Gun Maverick and create some real ads that motivate people to want to serve.
So you said create. Now, first, that sounds pretty reasonable to me. I don't understand what the issue is, other than they want the woke garbage to stay in. It sounds a lot like the police department. And he wants to get rid of it. I think that's really why they don't like him. It's not because they think he's a white supremacist. It's not because they think, he's going to have access to the codes and start a war. It's because they want lactating machines on the battlefield, and they want women in combat, and they want pronouns. You saw the Navy had a video about proper pronoun usage.
Oh yeah, they were showing the recruits. Yeah,
unbelievably disgusting.
Hi, my name is Johnny, and I use he, him pronouns.
Hi, and I'm Conchi, and I use she, her pronouns.
And we're here to talk about pronouns.
What is a pronoun? A pronoun is how we identify ourselves apart from our name, and it's also how people refer to us in conversations.
Using the right pronouns is a really simple way to affirm someone's identity. It is a signal of acceptance and respect.
If it's a signal of acceptance and respect, how do we go about creating a safe space for everybody?
That's a good question. A really good way to do that is to use inclusive language. Instead of saying something like, hey, guys, you can say, hey, everyone, or hey, team.
Yeah, and now that you say that, another way that we could show that we're allies and that we accept everybody is to maybe include our pronouns in our emails, or like we just did, introduce ourselves using our pronouns.
The military's main mission is to, like he said, lethality, right? Kill the enemy, keep us safe, bring our boys home.
Yeah.
And the left, that's everything that the left is threatened by. He mentioned ads, recruiting ads, right? I made a video. It was called Hands Off Our Military. It was only about 3 minutes. This is a clip from it. It compares the recruiting ads, I think in 2009, compared to the recruiting ads that are put out by the military today. This is a minute long. Check this out, Mike.
DC
There are those who see the challenges facing the nation and say, send me. They fight for country. They fight for honor. They fight to win.
Warriors want
You have
right?
what it takes.
Keyword, warrior.
Find out at goarmy.com/warriors.
That commercial was 2009.
This
are the
is the
commercials they're
story
doing
of a
today.
soldier who operates your nation's Patriot missile defense systems.
Wait, it's a cartoon, right? But wait.
It begins in California with a little girl raised by two moms.
Oh my God.
With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class. And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove my inner strength and maybe shatter some stereotypes along the way.
Shatter some stereotypes.
So I agree that
Disgusting.
Diversity and inclusion and what do you call it? Diversity is our strength is one of the dumbest things that you could put in the military. And Tucker Carlson said once, he said, can you please explain to me how millions of people getting together that have nothing in common with each other is a strength?
Right.
Like, I understand the concept, like you have certain values that you bring. I have certain values that I bring. And when you collectively as a unit, it makes the unit stronger. I understand the thinking, but that's not what they mean.
No.
They're talking about, well,
what's the end goal?
This dude used to be a girl. This girl used to be a dude. This one's gay. This one's non-binary. I mean, they turned the military upside down, made us a laughingstock. And I think that's why the left is so threatened by him.
And I think it's warranted and it's necessary, because if we would have we would have went another 4 years with this, dude, we were sitting ducks, man. Sitting ducks. I'm telling you.
He says that. He said, every war game the Pentagon has run against China, we lose.
Yeah.
And China is specifically creating an army specifically to attack the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Here he is talking to Sean Ryan. That was from the Sean Ryan podcast, by the way. Here he is. He's going to mention the vax at the end. Let me know. Well, actually, you know what? Do I have another one? Pete Closing, I think it's called. Hold on 1 second, Mike. I don't have it. All right. So this is him talking about the vaccine.
The entire institution, do you don't think we need to gut the entire institution? Do you think this is just coming from the top down?
I think right now my assessment based on talking to, is that it's a top-down, bottom-up problem. Is that you've got top-down political generals who've gained rank by playing by all the wrong rules that cater to the ideologues in Washington, D.C. And so they'll do any social justice, gender, climate, extremism crap because it gets them checked to the next level and gets them closer to the political appointees who don't know anything about the military really, other than they want a new first here and a new first there, and can we get the first trans this or whatever, that just nonsense. And then now you have a junior corps, which, listen, their incentive structure, whether it was in university or at service academies or just coming through college, is belief in these things. That diversity is our strength, that equity, that the standards could be racially biased, that showing up on time is a social construct. So if you spend enough time with those two things meeting, you could have a wholesale takeover of the Defense Department. I do think there's still a core of mostly silent. They also pushed out a lot of vaccine folks because of the vaccine, obviously.
That's up.
It's another one. Like that was a purge.
Engineered as well.
That's a purge of people. That's a purge of people of conscience. If you have enough of a conscience, whether it's faith, belief, or whatever, purge, out. Patriot extremism, purge, out. So there was a big push of a lot of those people in the middle out. I still think, and I know enough guys and talked to enough who said, hey, I want to be in for the right reasons. I know what's wrong. It's jacked up. If I say something, I'm canned. But in a new environment, I think there's still a core there.
So he was saying that you don't have to gut it. But again, when you hear this, I love the guy. I think he's a great pick. My only question again is I want Mike Flynn to get something. But that seems pretty reasonable to me. Of course, he mentioned the vax. Do you think that part of that was to purge the military and the police departments like some people suggest?
Yeah, because I think about the people that didn't want to take the vax. That was me. If I was on the job, I would have probably been in the same predicament. I didn't take it, by the way. They labeled those people as kind of like fighters, like they're fighting the system. They're not going along with the flow. So we don't need that person. Yeah, they're disruptors. So let's get rid of them because they're going to be a problem later on down the road. And guess what? They're a problem later on down the road because when Trump comes back into office, he's going to bring those guys back. He's going to offer them to come back and give them back pay. So,
yeah.
And he said that. There was a campaign promise.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's great news. The last clip I'm going to play is Matt Gaetz asking Lloyd Austin if he would do that, if he would bring the military people that were fired over the vax back on.
For that cancer, you didn't tell the president that you had cancer, that you were being treated for cancer, or that the treatment for that cancer had gone wrong because you saw it as personal and medical. And I think a lot of us have empathy for you in that regard. But now that you see how personal medical decisions are, will you call for the re-recruitment, restoration of full rank and back pay for the 8,600 service members who were vax mandated out of the military?
No, I won't.
No, he won't. Like it's nothing, Bill. And you know what? Even if when some of them did come back, they still face discipline for refusing to take it in the first place. I hope Trump does bring them back. I do think that it was somewhat of a purge. I agree with you. So let's talk about Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. What do you think of that?
Bulldog. Do
you think he'll get confirmed?
No. Well, I'm not going to say that. I don't know what's going on in these backroom meetings right now with Senator Thune, the majority leader now, Mike Johnson. I have a feeling that they've got something up their sleeve. However, there's going to be people, particularly, there's not going to be one Democrat that's going to vote in favor to confirm him.
Right, and you got to worry about No, you got to maybe Manchin if he was around, but you got to
worry about Mikowski.
Yeah, isn't that sad, bro? That they're always a problem, and yet they still.
Gornine is going to be another one.
What about Lindsey Graham?
Lindsey Graham has last week he was on Sean Hannity's show, and he had kind of alluded that he wants to hear it and he's open to it. He never gave a blatant no. There's been rumor going around that he said blatant no. I haven't seen him publicly state that yet. If these senators want to feel like the way they felt for the last 4 years, then don't confirm Matt Gaetz and keep the freaking train going down the track. That's with the lawfare and everything else that has been conducted in the last 4 years, because it's going to be business as usual again. If you don't get a guy like Matt Gaetz in there, nothing is going to get done. You need a bulldog. Trump made a mistake with Sessions. He made a mistake with Bill Barr. These guys were bureaucrats, man. They were just there forever. So Matt Gaetz has money, and that's what Matt Gaetz comes from a very wealthy family. So Trump could identify with that. Yeah, so he's got them backing. So if they want to come after him, come after me, man. I got money to spend on lawyers all day.
What about his, they're going to be, they're going to be all over his House ethic investigation.
Then why didn't it go anywhere?
Well, listen, I'm with you, bro. You're telling me that Merrick Garland wouldn't touch it, decided not to prosecute. That alone shows that you didn't do it. To me, anyway. All right. If they have a chance to prosecute any Republican and they decide not to, that means that he's clear. But like on the police department, if you did something wrong, you'd be arrested, right? You'd lose your job, get fired, be arrested, and there would be a criminal trial to see whether or not you should go to jail. That part of the Matt Gaetz investigation, the corrupt Merrick Garland said, we're not touching this, there's no crime. But just like on our job, people don't know this, but at least in the NYPD, we call it the kangaroo court. where then there's a department trial where they say, okay, you didn't, whatever the allegation is, you didn't assault this person, you didn't take money, whatever.
Yeah, but what's the catch-all be-all?
What's the what?
Catch-all be-all. Conduct unbecoming.
Conduct unbecoming, yeah. Yeah.
That's the big one. That's the catch.
Yeah. And it's when we call it a kangaroo court because there's no evidentiary law, there's no rule of discovery, there's none of that. It's just you're at their mercy. You get a lawyer, but really they could do whatever they want. It sounds like the House Ethics Committee is something similar to that. They're not investigating this on a criminal level, but did he do anything wrong?
Yeah.
And I know you're going to disagree with me, but I think, because I try to be consistent, and I think for the sake of transparency, they should release it. I don't think they're going to find anything. And I think by them not releasing it, you're giving the left ammunition to say, show the report, show the report. How many times do we hear when there's a police incident?
Like tax returns.
Release the body cam. Yeah. Release the tax returns, release the tax returns, release the body cam footage, release the foot. Like, do you want to hear this over and over and over again? Just release the report. I don't think he did anything. And, don't give the other side an opportunity.
But here's
that's my German Shepherd Bear.
I heard that.
Go ahead.
You don't think Trump's team or Trump himself said, how are we going to get this guy confirmed? He's got this, he's got that. They've went over this. They had to have a playbook. They've had to go over what could possibly happen, how he's going to push him through. Or it could be a big ruse. It could be a big troll. Maybe he's got something else slated for Gates that's not going to be a Senate confirmation hearing.
Well, they were saying that,
Go
ahead. Sorry.
So I'm just saying, anything can happen here. Expect the unexpected, right? With Donald Trump.
Well, he resigned from the House, and now they're saying it is our policy not to release an investigation report on someone who's no longer a House member.
Right.
So they're going to say he resigned just for that, to get out of it. But the plan was DeSantis would appoint him to fill Rubio's seat, right? Because Rubio's going to be the Secretary of State. But then I heard that Lara Trump might be appointed by DeSantis as the senator. Have you heard anything about that?
I've heard that as well. And now there was a tweet this morning. He tweeted himself, DeSantis, that he's going to find the right candidate who's have a proven track record. So I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
I don't know what his relationship with Matt Gaetz is, but maybe it is. Maybe Matt Gaetz is going to get that Senate seat. They're going to retain Matt's seat with another viable candidate, and Trump just appoints somebody else as the AG, and it just to stir the shit. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
A lot of people have said, why waste all this political capital on a person that's never going to get confirmed? Save it for something you need. Save it for immigration. Listen, I don't have a problem with him appointing people that are loyalists to him, right? I want him to promote and surround himself with people that are loyal. Jeff Sessions recused himself from the Russia investigation that gave us Bob Mueller, who destroyed the Trump administration for 2 years with the Russia nonsense.
Yeah.
Then Merrick Garland came in, and look what he's done to Giuliani. Look what he's done.
Yeah.
You had Michael Colangelo, the third top of the DOJ, leave that post to go work with Alvin Bragg. People, I'm sure they realize Alvin Bragg, who prosecuted Trump for that bookkeeping entry, he's not the Attorney General of New York.
Right.
That's Letitia James.
New York City.
He's not even the Attorney General of New York City.
Right.
He's
Manhattan.
a DA of one of the 5 boroughs in New York City. So for a guy, Michael Colangelo, to give up his high position in the DOJ on a federal level to come into New York to get on board to prosecute Donald Trump with Alvin Bragg shows that Merrick Garland and the DOJ is corrupt.
It's very interesting, the prosecution on this case, because they went back and forth. Bragg almost took up the other case, the real estate valuation case, which was a fraud case in New York, but decided to pursue this one. And when he did, an interesting attorney came on board late in this whole process. Matthew Colangelo. Tell us why we should know about Colangelo's role in all of this.
Because he held the number 3 spot at DOJ, which is maybe the most coveted spot at the Department of Justice outside of Attorney General itself, because typically that job
is a straight path to becoming a corporate bigwig, making a lot of money. It's considered very elite. So for him to step down from that, to go work for a local prosecutor in New York on this case, it says something. I think it says that he's got to be a pretty true believer, and this is personal, if he wants to get involved in this.
Now, we hear over and over that from the Trump side that this is all orchestrated from Washington, orchestrated from the White House. We know the DOJ didn't touch this case. They didn't take it up. But then this number 3 left the DOJ and went up here and is one of the lead attorneys on this. And you say it's surprising that he's so face forward on all of this.
Yeah, I actually almost jumped back in my seat today when I was sitting there when I realized he was the one presenting opening arguments. And I thought, oh, wow. They're not concerned at all about how this looks.
I applaud him, and I am proud that he's surrounding himself with people that are loyal to him. I think that's one of the mistakes he did last time. But I don't know. I mean, Giuliani lost his law license, but that's someone on the outside who knows what it's like to be.
Yeah.
But he can't, right? Because he's no longer a lawyer.
But there's a lot of other candidates. There's Ken Paxton, who's a bulldog in Texas.
What about Matt Whitaker? You like Matt Whitaker?
Yeah. So I've been to a couple, and you and I know that I've been to a couple of Trump events because of who I worked for. And every time I've been to those particular events, whether it was a town hall or an interview or something like that, Matt Whitaker was always sitting like right next to me. Yeah. Because I was always in the VIP area. And I'm like, this guy's going to be the AG. So nothing has been announced for him. Perhaps this is just a troll and Matt Whitaker gets the spot. I don't know.
Or Pam Bondi, the DA, the flag.
Yeah, I like Pam Bondi too, but you need somebody with character like Matt Gaetz.
He's a bomb thrower, and that's
fearless. He's a bomb thrower. He'll drop a grenade in the room and he'll walk out.
But isn't Trump the bomb thrower? Does he want another one overshadowing him and have this an uphill battle every single time? Because when we hear Al Sharpton claim racism, we discount it. We say it's bullshit. This is how he's made his living. When we hear MSNBC call Trump a fascist and Hitler, we hear it so many times, we discount it. It's nothing more to us other than noise. When Matt Gaetz has a reputation of just saying, what you would consider being a bomb thrower, does Trump really need that when he's kind of the bomb thrower? Maybe he wants to surround himself with people like him. Yeah. I don't blame him for wanting people who are loyal. I think that's a great idea. I just don't know if Matt Gaetz is going to get confirmed. And again, there's other people that but he has a plan B.
Yeah, there's a C. There's a plan B, and the plan B is probably a recess appointment. And the plan C is something I read this morning, that he could appoint them for 210 days and extend it another 210 days with this certain law in 1998. And I forget what it was. I could find it. But so they're doing their homework on this one, and whether it's a troll or whether it's a real thing that's going to happen. I like Matt Gaetz. He's a bulldog. I've watched his hearings. In fact, I've tuned in purposely to watch him work.
Yeah. You saw him question Merrick Garland. That's great.
So let me ask you this question about your time as a judge. Was there ever a time when you were a judge when you had a family member who was personally profiting off of the notoriety of a case that was before your court?
Look, I'm going to say again, very clear, you're asking me to comment on a case in another...
No, wait, hold on, Mr. Attorney General. Did you ever have a family member profit off of the notoriety of any case that you sat over?
Say again, you're asking...
Yes or no?
You're asking me to comment on a case currently...
Well, it seems you're connecting the dots, Mr. Attorney General. I'm just asking you as to a general principle, but you are aware that Judge Merchan's daughter was profiting off of this prosecution. You are aware that creates the appearance of impropriety. You know the very reason there's a federal rule against judges giving donations is because it is the very attack on the judicial process that we're concerned about.
I'm sorry, I don't agree with anything you just said, but I'm not going to comment on it.
Okay, so you won't comment on it, Mr. Attorney General, but you had no problem dispatching Matthew Colangelo. Who's Matthew Colangelo?
That is false. I did not dispatch Matthew Colangelo. Matthew
Colangelo became the Assistant Attorney General at the very beginning of the Biden administration. Without having been Senate confirmed, goes and gets the senior role at the DOJ, and then after, I believe it's Gupta replaces Colangelo makes this remarkable downstream career journey, from the U.S. Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., and then pops up in Alvin Bragg's office to go get Trump. And you're saying that's just a career choice that was made that has nothing to do with the lawfare coordinated by
saying it's false. I did not dispatch Mr. Colangelo anywhere.
Well, do you know how he ended up there?
I assume he he applied for a job there and got the job.
But see, you know what?
Tell you I had nothing to do with it.
Well, you might not have had anything to do with it, but we've got this contemporaneous evidence in Mr. Pomerantz's book. So Pomerantz writes this book, which I'm sure you're aware of, where he says, we put together the legal eagles to get Trump. We got all these folks together and we assembled them for that purpose. And so when we on the Judiciary Committee think about attacks on the judicial process, our concern is that the facts and the law aren't being followed. A target is acquired, here, Trump, and then you assemble the legal talent from DOJ, Mr. Pomerantz, and you bring everybody in to get it. And meanwhile, the judge is making money on it. The judge is making money on it. The judge's family is making money on it for stuff that you yourself wouldn't do.
Well, that's the thing. I like to see him in that venue. When you're an AG, you're kind of behind the scenes, and all your deputies and all your other attorneys are doing the work for you. You're just a spokesman, right? You come out and you speak. I like to see Matt going after the person, So maybe he's a senator, and now he's on the Senate, and now he's involved in Senate hearings, and So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so two more we could talk about. Tulsi Gabbard, DNI, right? Director of National Intelligence. Mm-hmm. She will have the CIA, the FBI, and I think there's another agency that reports to her. I don't know what that other agency is. What do you think of that pick?
Well, what's the common denominator amongst all these picks? What's the common denominator? They've all been victims of some form of law.
Yeah, they call her a Russian. They put her on the freaking no-fly terrorist list. It's crazy, bro.
I mean, think about
crazy. But here's the thing. This is the way I love Tulsi Gabbard. I was hoping that he would at least consider picking her for VP. It's great to see her arc and how she's changed and went over to the Trump side. I think initially now everyone's on Trump's side. Everyone's doing the Trump dance, or even MSNBC is saying, "Oh yeah, it's legal. That's really important." Yeah. But initially when she did it, it was pretty brave of her to come out. She started appearing on Fox News, and then she hosted a Tucker Carlson episode here and there. So that took a lot of courage, and of course she got a lot of slack from the left.
She came out as an independent first, right? And she was kind of like going down that road, see where we would go.
And then Hillary called her a Russian asset, and that just again pushed her over to Trump. But she would be the head of these three. This is my problem. Like, it's not that they're not capable. Go to the FBI, right? I don't know who the CIA guy is. Is it Ratcliffe? Who's he picked for CIA?
No, I think it's going to be Ratcliffe, right? But
I don't really know him that well. So the FBI. I don't know who he's going to pick for the FBI. They say Rogers or Kash Patel.
Yeah, I hope it's not Rogers. Yeah, Rogers.
Does Kash Patel? Does he have any experience in law enforcement? Because this is my fear. You put James Comey as head of the FBI. He's a fucking lawyer.
Yeah,
lawyer. He's a pencil pusher. He's a prosecutor.
You want a grunt. You want somebody who's in the.
You want someone who's kicked in the door, thrown handcuffs on someone, investigated and traveled out of state to lock up these child predators or serial killers or whatever, or the terrorists, people that went after the terrorists. I want someone who's from the inside, who knows what it's. I wanted a law enforcement background, and that's why I told you off the air. I would love that position, head of the FBI, to go to Sheriff David Clark. He's got the experience. I know he's been out of the limelight for a while, but he was sheriff of Milwaukee. I read both of his books. He's an outstanding cop. He's liked by everyone underneath him. What was interesting with him? When he did an organizational chart, it was like, I don't know how it worked in Milwaukee PD, but it was like captain, assistant chief, deputy sheriff, or whatever they call assistant sheriff, Sheriff Clark. And then above him in his chart, he wrote the people of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And he always said that I'm accountable to the people of Milwaukee. And of course, the left helped him, but he's got a pair of balls. He comes from an enforcement background. He's run a big organization. I hope Trump considers him for something.
What about a curveball here? What about Bernie Kerik? We spoke about him. Bernie Kerik was a victim of lawfare back in 2002.
He did jail time. He did jail time. They put him in jail 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because remember, Bush nominated him to be the director of Homeland Security, and they dirtied him up and they and put him in jail.
Yeah,
I think it was hiring an illegal alien or something like that. Remember?
Bullshit. It was bullshit. It was big. It's always bullshit.
That guy's been in the trenches. You know, he's a freaking he's a warrior too in some sense.
Yeah,
you know,
and he's run the NYPD during 9/11.
The NYPD, right?
I like Kerik. I think he was a good commissioner. I think he'll be great in anything that. And he is with Trump a lot. I see him on Instagram. He'll post that he was at Mar-a-Lago and stuff. So that would be a good pick. I wouldn't consider that a curveball, although they'll say he was a felon.
Yeah,
and
I love like a lot of old NYPD guys because like Ray Kelly, that guy, I would have loved to. We spoke about this. I would have loved to see him as director of FBI. The only thing they would have done on him was,
how old is he now?
He's in his 80s now, so that wouldn't be a viable pick. But then they would have brought the stop, question, and frisk thing up, because that was his.
Listen, I make no apology for stop, question, and frisk. It kept everyone safe.
It's effective.
And you know what? Again, they weren't taking the guns off people on the Upper West Side or the liberal towns in Soho or the West Village or the East Village. They were taking guns off people in the ghetto. It kept people safe.
Yep,
did it annoy people to be stopped 3 or 4 times a night? Yeah, of course it did.
Yep.
And I would be pissed too, and I would be aggravated. Dude, when I was hanging out, let me tell you, 78th Street, Metropolitan Avenue, I don't know what it is now, but it used to be the Village Card Shop in the 104. I can't tell you how many times the 104 would pull up, they take our beer, right, throw us against the wall. They could take it out of the RMP, take all our beer, and just leave. And I remember when I got on the job, I'm like, wow, they had to voucher that. Yeah, and then when I got to one of the commands, I think the guy worked in the 108, and he's like, "Yeah, we used to just take their beer." I'm like, "You fuck," that's us, like, right? So I wouldn't say we were harassed by the police, but I never had really friendly encounters with them.
Yeah.
But I understand why people didn't like stop, question, and frisk. Of course, I'm going off on a tangent here now, but I would, Bloomberg apologized for that. I think that hurt him. If they brought Bernie Kerik in, or if they did ask someone like a Ray Kelly who was in that administration, don't apologize. It kept us safe. It kept cops safe, and crime went down because. So Bernie Kerik, Sheriff David Clark. Last one we'll talk about is RFKJ, and we disagree on this too. Well, I don't say we disagree.
I don't think we disagree. I think
I like
we have,
stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't want him to forget about other people. But we both agree we would rather have a David Clark instead of a Mike Rogers or Kash Patel, right? What is Kash Patel? Is he
I don't know what his background.
I know he wrote a book called Government Gangsters. I haven't read it.
Yeah.
And I know he was.
He speaks very well though, and he works.
And he's smart and he's a loyalist. But I don't want someone who just has it up here. I want someone who has the experience. A street cop like a Bernie Kerik, that like when he was in TNT, when they call it, when he was back in the day. So that's we don't really disagree. But let's talk about RFKJ because I think we do a little bit here.
RFK. So my thing with him is he has a mission, and he's always had a mission, and Trump's going to allow him to implement that mission. And Trump, I wouldn't say Trump owes him, but Trump does owe his voter base, and so he had a promise of RFK ran on a lot of things, but the biggest thing he ran on was this whole health thing, right? And the vaccines and let's be honest with each other. The pharmaceutical industry is dirty. The pharmaceutical industry is the tobacco industry of today. It really is. It really is. Yeah. Right? Because it's about, remember Philip Morris, all these big companies back in it, they were the donors to these campaigns, and they were the ones that wanted everybody to smoke. And then for some reason or another, now smoking is like, no, not socially acceptable anymore.
Yeah, you don't see it anymore.
No, you don't see it anymore. But pharmaceuticals, I mean, let's start with the basic stupid shit. Ads on TV for prescription medicine that you could go, oh, I kind of identify with that. I need that. And then you go and talk to your doctor, and now he gives you a sample, and now you're on it for perpetuity, for the rest of your life. So we still do like a big circle. Yeah, they keep you sick. They keep you sick.
Big, I forgot, Megyn Kelly had someone on.
Right now, American food companies are using toxic ingredients that are either banned or regulated differently in the same exact products that they serve American citizens. So, for example, McDonald's French fries has 11 ingredients here in the United States, whereas in other countries, they are only using 3 ingredients and salt is optional. Then you've got things like Skittles, which uses 10 different artificial food dyes here in the United States, and the ingredient titanium dioxide that's banned in Europe because it can cause DNA damage. But in the UK version, they eliminate these ingredients. And this runs the gamut across the board, whether it's M&Ms. I mean, I think about Halloween coming up. It's going to be an M&Ms, Starbursts, Haribo gummy bears. Almost every single major American food company is doing this because they're using the lack of regulation in our U.S. food system to their advantage. And it's very hypocritical, and I think it's unethical because we're American citizens. And as RFK Jr. said in that Senate roundtable, if any other country was doing this to us, it would be considered an act of war.
The whole idea is keep you sick.
Yeah.
Keep you on the dole. Right. And the food is making you sick. Here's the problem. I think that's a great idea. RFK was big into the environment, right? So he nominated Lee Zeldin for the EPA, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know Lee Zeldin went outside. Like, right? I didn't know he was a Trump loyalist. I never even really saw him with Trump. But maybe that could have been an RFKJ spot because he's big on the environment. The other thing about him is he went, I might be wrong, but I heard that he went to the Harris campaign and the Harris campaign said they didn't return his calls or they blew him off. Or there was no spot.
I think there's validity to that.
Right. So then he went to the Trump campaign, right, and joined Trump. Now, if he would have gotten hired by Harris, he would have told you that he's pro-abortion, including late-term abortion. He also wants single-payer government health care.
Yeah.
Right? So he's big on climate change. So he goes over to Trump, and I'm not saying he's a grifter or he's using Trump, but he goes over to Trump, doesn't mention anything about those positions anymore. But he's talking about the stuff that he identifies with Trump and leaving everything out that he supported from the Kamala Harris campaign. I don't think Trump's getting played. Bill O'Reilly actually said it. He talked about loyalists, and he said, Donald, if you're listening to me, be careful of RFK because he's not loyal. He's in for it for himself, and he will turn on you in a second.
The reason that Donald Trump supported all those people is because they're loyalists, particularly Mr. Hegseth. They're loyalists. RFK Jr. could turn on Trump in a second, in a heartbeat. Boom. I don't know whether Donald Trump knows that or not, but boy, oh boy, you better be careful with that guy.
But the other issue I have is the head of HHS oversees the FDA, the CDC, and the NIH. So the Federal Drug Administration, the Center for Disease Control, and the National Institute of Health. This guy knows nothing about medicine. His thing is food and the environment and vaccines. And that's great. He should get a position. I like him. I actually like him a lot. I don't like some of those positions I just mentioned. But maybe he should be one of those heads or a head of maybe the EPA instead of being the top guy that people in those organizations are going to need to clear. They're going to need to clear their agenda with him when he's all basically a food and vaccine guy. You know who I wanted, and I hope Trump doesn't waste him. Ben Carson. I love Ben Carson. Dude, let's start with the fact that he's a brain surgeon. Okay. And he's not just a brain surgeon, but he's had the ratio of complaints or malpractice issues against him is one of the lowest in the country of any neurosurgeon. So he's not just, Trump called him a mediocre surgeon when he was running against him. But I felt like when Trump made him the head of HUD.
That didn't make sense to me. I didn't think that was right either.
I feel like you wasted it, bro. The guy's a fucking brain surgeon.
Yeah.
What are you putting him in housing for? So he could be head of the CDC.
Or a lot of these positions are just favors too. You know that too. You know how it works. I mean,
but really, really high up, bro. Like he's not just giving RFK a position in.
Yeah, but I think it's been established that Trump said, listen, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, but you're not going to do this and you're not going to do that. He's going to keep a short leash on him, and he's going to be like, you do what you need to do to make everybody healthy because that's what you want to do, make America healthy again, and that's it. You know, and if he could sit in his cabinet for 4 years and swallow that pill, then he'll be okay. If not, if 2 years down the line, if he gets out of line, then Trump's going to fire him. And
yeah, I hope that I don't.
Hope that doesn't.
But I see coming doesn't happen. But you know, I mean, you never know. That he's trying to make a name for himself, and I haven't followed him like a lot of other people do. So it's not like, you know, same thing with Matt Gaetz. I know Matt Gaetz. I hear him all the time, but it's not like I know more about David Clark than I do about Matt Gaetz. That's why I'm a strong supporter of him, and I hope that he gets a position somewhere. Byron Donalds, right?
Yeah,
the congressman.
Yeah, but now you're also picking from the congressional, you know, the.
But he did it with Elise Stefanik. He did it with who did he make DHS? First of all, it's like the first person we're talking about.
Noem.
Kristi Noem. I love Mike Hammond.
Yeah.
For ICE.
Yeah, Tom Homan. Yeah,
Tom Homan. Sorry, probably the best pick ever. I'm more in favor of that than a Matt Gaetz.
I thought he was going to get DHS. I thought he would have got DHS.
Right, because ICE reports to DHS, right?
Right.
So why would Kristi Noem took that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. RFKJ is HHS and Kristi Noem is DHS. Now, granted, she's a governor. Her state is run flawlessly. She has a surplus. She has the lowest unemployment. The state has the lowest unemployment in the country. She's a great manager. But again, you're going to have ICE report to you. It doesn't seem like she's in Dakota, bro. Is she in South Dakota, right?
She's South, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're nowhere near Bergen, right. And he just nominated him for something. Energy something.
Energy, I think, yeah. But
she's nowhere near the border. I realize every state's a border state, but there are a lot of people, it's just the Lee Zeldin, the Kristi Noem, some of this just doesn't make sense. I'm sure that there are a lot of people loyal to Trump, and there are a lot of people who are outsiders who have been victimized. Kristi Noem's not one of them. We spoke about Tulsi Gabbard, Matt Gaetz, Giuliani. All these people have had warfare against them. Kristi Noem, that surprised me too. But I do love Tom Homan. I was thrilled.
I think he's awesome. But I think what Kristi Noem is, they want to get her out of the state politics and maybe bring her more into the federal, you know.
Do you think she was going to be a VP pick before she did that thing with a dog?
Yeah. I think so.
What a stupid thing. What an idiot, bro, to say that, like, she's somehow tough because she took a dog out and shot him. I'm totally against that. I won't defend that. You know, I'm an animal lover.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
If your dog has to do that, you take him to the vet, put him down. You don't shoot him in the head, right?
Yeah.
And then I think she did it to another animal too, a goat, I think, or something.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So I was scratching my head about that. Who else is left besides head of the FBI? I don't know Mike Rogers at all. Do you know him?
He was wasn't he a senator? Mike Rogers. He's a congressman. Yeah, he was a congressman, and he spoke out against Trump when Trump contested the 2020 election. Yeah, very, very verbal and very vocal about it. He was it was not good stuff. So I don't like.
Do you think JD Vance? Do you think JD Vance has any input into Trump's era about who he should back?
I think so. I mean, he's also young, Vance, so I don't know how deep in the woods he is with the rest of the Senate. But
last thing, aside away from his picks now, now that Trump's in and they can't take it away from him, do you worry about attempt number 3?
It's always there. I think we had spoken about this. Right now, he doesn't have. I mean, he has a large detail. I think he has the same presidential detail, but he's not on government aircraft. He's on his own.
He's not on Air Force One.
No.
Well, that'll change once he gets
he gets inaugurated. Yeah, but now he's still using his private aircraft, and they don't get. As far as I know, there's no escort of any type of jets or anything like fighter jets or anything like that. So
wow.
Yeah, so I don't know. Other than he gets the TFR, which is a temporary flight restriction, I think we spoke about. It's a 30-mile ring. That's when he's on the ground and when he takes off. But in the air, he doesn't have any type of escort aircraft.
But right now, we get the TFR as the president-elect.
Yeah, he gets the president. He gets the same type of TFR that the sitting president has.
Oh, so that's good. That's good. Well, listen, who's going to be the first one? When will they get confirmed?
He's got to get sworn in first, right? So they can't. But from what I understand, once the Senate goes in session, they could start the confirmation hearings even before he gets inaugurated. So they can start it right away.
Because I was listening to O'Reilly talk about what do they call it? Recess appointments, right?
Yeah.
And he said like Bush had like 100 and something recess appointments. Clinton had over 100. Barack Obama had only 32, but they were important. So it went up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, listen, you could do a recess appointment, but the Senate has to be out for at least 10 days.
Right.
By the way, Trump, 0 recess appointments. Joe Biden, 0, which I thought was odd. None of them had a recess appointment. But the next time that the Senate is out for 10 days, at least, isn't until Easter, which would be March, I believe, late March. I don't think he's going to wait that long because wouldn't Merrick Garland still be the attorney general until Matt Gaetz?
Yeah, then he could fire him and do an interim appointment, I think. So he'll get an interim appointment. Yeah, I think the interim appointment lasts for like 120 days.
And he doesn't need to get confirmed for that.
I don't think he needs to get, no, it's just an interim. So it's kind of like an acting position, right?
Like Matt Whitaker did.
Like Matt, right, exactly. All
right, I don't know if you can hear my cat.
I can't.
You can't hear?
Oh, yeah, no, I hear it. Yeah, this thing. I do hear.
All right, I'm gonna let him in. I know you gotta go, bro. I said I'd let you go. We wouldn't hit 2 hours. I appreciate it, bro. Thank you for your patience. We spent over an hour trying to get this to work, and I still hear a little bit of a hissing. I hope not, bro, because it would be really frustrating.
Don't blame me this time. It's you. It's your
No, I just heard it now when you said don't blame me. Isn't that funny? But we're done. We're done for the night. Thank you, bro. Listen, we keep saying every time you come back, we're going to talk about police stuff. Maybe next time. Maybe we should
do it next time. Let's do it.
Hey, bro. All right, Mike. Oh, how can people reach you on Twitter? What are you?
At Right Force One. And that's RIGHT Force One. One word.
Are you on Facebook too or just Twitter?
No, just Twitter right now. That's it.
And you had to start from scratch, right? They didn't pre-Elon, they kicked you out, right?
Yeah, I had like 10,000 followers and then...
That's gotta hurt, bro. I've been on Twitter for a while. I'm still less than 3,000. So I would have been...
Still, like I feel like I'm still getting shadow banned. Like I get no traction with any of my posts.
And the same thing with YouTube, bro. People have commented in the comments. They've told me, I had you in my save. That you're gone from my history. I type in your name, it doesn't come up. It's so unfair.
It is.
YouTube hates me. Everything I talk about, they don't like, so they try to bury it. And guys, if you like this video, please consider subscribing and share it because YouTube doesn't like that. And I just want to piss them off. Now, if you share it, it helps the algorithm and then other people will see it and then YouTube would give it more attention. But I'm buried way down. I'm surprised I got 10,000 subscribers. I'm thrilled to death. I love the YouTube platform, but just like Twitter, I feel like there is a shadow ban going on. It's frustrating. And that's one thing that JD Vance said in the debate. You talk about January 6th and the the threat to democracy. Let's not forget what's happening with censorship and our First Amendment, right? When the FBI went and told Facebook that the laptop was fake, and they were talking to Facebook and Twitter and saying, pull down these tweets and these.
Yeah, New York Post. They censored the New York Post, remember?
Yeah.
On Twitter.
You know, the oldest newspaper. Terrible, bro. Terrible. But
yep.
Anyway, all right, brother. Thank you for staying with us. Stay in the studio. I'm going to hit end, stay in the studio, and let it upload.
Okay.
I hope to see you again.
Sounds good.
Thank you, brother. Thanks. Bye.
See it.
President-elect Donald Trump picking a new attorney general nominee just hours after Matt Gaetz' decision to withdraw. Fox News Digital's political correspondent Brooke Singman live now with the very latest. Brooke, good morning.
Good morning, Maria. That's right. So President Trump appointing Pam Bondi to serve as attorney general. Bondi served as Florida's attorney general from 2011 to 2019, and she was the state's first female attorney general. Before that, she served 18 years as a prosecutor. Now, as Florida AG, Bondi led efforts to combat opioid abuse and end human trafficking. She also helped recover more than $1 billion in consumer protection, antitrust, and false claims matters. Bondi is a longtime Trump ally, and the president says she will, quote, refocus the DOJ to its intended purpose of fighting crime and making America safe again. She is smart and tough and is an America First fighter who will do a terrific job as attorney general. Now, this nomination comes just hours after Trump's first pick, Congressman Matt Gaetz, dropped out of the running. This after Trump reportedly told him he did not have the votes to get confirmed.